There are only two ways to housebreak a new puppy. Number one is to never let them in the house. That is the best way. The second is just let them go wherever they want, all over. Pee, poop. The third, let them go anywhere they want, because eventually as they get older, they will just stop liking the smell and will just stop going naturally. Susan, if you want people to like you for who you are, and to be your friend through thick and thin, then you need to let them know your religious and political views the moment you meet them, right from the get-go. Share it as frequently as you can on social media, because over time, the algorithms in Facebook will only show the people that actually believe those things your content, and then you'll only be surrounded by your neophytes. Also, I'd recommend making sure that you make it a major point of discussion at every single family gathering, specifically Thanksgiving. All right. How do you even hashtag search for hashtags if you're not using hashtags in the hashtag search bar? So yes, you should always use hashtags. No matter what. In Instagram, you get up to 30 hashtags. And if you use even one less, then you're an ignorant son of a bitch. Blair, it's very normal if it burns when you pee. I mean, 1 out of 64 people have genital herpes. So it's very common, and I would not be worried about it at all. Just pour some salt on it, or Hibiclens or something like bleach. That usually will wipe out any sting. Hey, Brent, that is a great question. You know, when I'm grustling, and that is grinding and hustling, as you and I know, there is no end to the limit of Instagram stories that I will post. And just a word to the wise, if you want to know who is really just crushing it at their work, the people who are the true workaholics are the people who have the time and energy to post countless times through Snapchats, through Instagram stories, and even Facebook stories. The people that have the time to and willingness to do that all day long, every day, that's how you know who the true grustlers are. They've really made it. Workaholics that are truly a success are able to spend all of their day on social media. If you're looking for credible advice on digital marketing solutions, the first thing, really the only thing you need to do, is go find the most tenured sales manager at your dealership. Ask them how they've always done it, and just follow that course. Kate, you've just asked one of the most important questions of our entire generation. So kudos to you. When do you announce that you have finally found a job or another job in the industry? And how long do you tease that for on Facebook? My opinion is the longer you can lead up to it, the more people, by the thousands, that are going to be waiting on the edge of their seats for that information. So I'd say if you're not announcing your new job at least a month in advance with little hints like big changes coming, great announcement coming, can't wait to tell everybody where I work, I got to tell you, every single person you know is dying for that information. So the longer you can string that out, the better. Hey, Doug, I'm driving now, so my glasses are on. But that means you know that this advice is going to be the best there is, because the best advice comes from people who are driving cars. How deep do you go into print advertising? I'll tell you, who doesn't like to read? So I would go at least 9 inches deep, which in monetary terms is about 50% of your budget, all in print. So, Bill, great question. You and I know each other a long time. When I get hungry, I get angry. And the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. And dogs, as man's best friend, are no different. When a dog is barking, he's probably hungry. So you have to feed that dog. Poison. Sammy, you're thinking about becoming a superhero. What should be your first step? Off the top of a building. So Steve Ressler and I are really good friends. We're speaking at the upcoming Digital Dealer Conference together. I've never heard of Frank Lopez. With that said, one of the reasons so many people are naturally attracted to Steve Ressler, men and women alike, are not because his hair stands 7 inches straight off the top of his head, but because he uses bacon grease when prepping his hair. So as everybody knows, bacon grease is the world's greatest pheromone. I strongly recommend cooking up some bacon, using that grease, and slathering yourself just about the head, breast, neck, chest, face, and hair area, downstairs if you need to, and that'll give off the scent that you're looking for.
Hey, Joe. Hey, serious question. I am thinking of doing something different with my hair. My wife would like me to do something different. She's a hairdresser. Just gets tired of looking at it, but everybody loves my hair. Should I change it or stay with it?
Steve, if you change your hairstyle, we won't even recognize you. We won't even speak to you. And you will lose all of the magic that you have. Unless you went with a mohawk, or what we would call a bi-mohawk. So it's just cutting it right down the middle, off on the sides, and you have one here and one here. That would work for you. That'll make you memorable. Other than that, you're human wallpaper, my friend. So do not change that hair. Great question, Micah. You don't even know who your real friends are unless they beg on social media to remain as one of your friends. So make sure that you're always telling people you're going to be dropping them before. And then everybody who comes and comments and says, "Oh no, please, not me. I love your stories." When they say that, those are the only ones that get to stay. Unfollow or unfriend everybody else. Everyone. And then after you do that, make sure you post and say, "Hey, if you're seeing this, then you've made my cut." Because that doesn't make you look like an arrogant brick. That makes you look like a man of the people. Amy, there is no better person to answer this than me, given the fact that I'm a fitness expert. But you didn't ask for the easiest way to lose 15 pounds, because I have an answer for that. You asked for the best way. And the best way to lose 15 pounds is to give a baby up for adoption. Kevin, great question. How do you 10x your day? First of all, medically, I don't ever recommend anybody do anything more than 4x their day. I mean, 4x, 4.5x, that's about maxing out your capabilities. With that said, if you want to 10x a 1 hour, 1 hour amount of work, then just do 1 hour, then take a 10-second break, and then another hour, 10-second break, another hour, and do that 10 times, and that's going to be 10 timesing your work for the hour. It's math. I'm really good at maths. Ryan, much like a Ferrari in your garage, an AOL account proves to people that you've accomplished a great deal in life, that you've attained a level of wealth and prosperity that cannot be taken away from you. It is a badge of honor to use an active AOL account. And I still have mine. I don't know how much longer I will because I'm almost out of the hours that came with the disc. But I will tell you, I use it all the time. Doug, great question. What color underwear should you wear up in Canada today? I strongly believe that if your underwear doesn't have a logo of a superhero, you're just doing it wrong. So definitely look up underoos.com. I have 2 pairs of Batmans, 3 pairs of Supermans, 1 pair of Wonder Woman, and I just wear those interchangeably, sometimes multiple times in a row. So it's multiple colors. Whoever you prefer to go with, I'm guessing there's got to be some Mountie superhero, then I would find that logo, and those are the underwear that you always wear. Either that or, I'm guessing you're in Canada, so thermal underwear at least 10 and a half months out of the year. This one's easy, John. Just see what happens after 4 beers. Bill, if you know anything about me, you know I'm not near smart enough to do any of these things for strategy's sake. I do it only to make myself happy. So will I be sharing results from this? There are no results from this other than the amount of wasted time I have not writing the blog I've promised myself I was going to write today and working on the slide deck I was supposed to be. So, of course I'll share something. Craig, is it possible to create a successful podcast or live stream video if you never cuss? Shit, yes it is. At least I hope so, because my business partner Bill and I are planning on starting a podcast soon, and we never freaking curse. Not ever. So, hell yes. Yeah. CRMs are a big decision, especially when you're making a switch. No matter what, make sure you go with something server-based. You don't need any mobile connectivity or any of that stuff. Make sure it doesn't allow you to text and doesn't allow you to video, because that's just going to frustrate your sales team. Hey, Danny, you don't need my advice. Just ask Dealer Worlds. Both of the conference names that you mentioned have already been taken. I've spoken at both of those events. One's in its 3rd year. But definitely if you're going to create your own, you have to choose an action verb in the title that has to do with aggression, male aggression. Something like how to push your customers down the stairs to a sale, or how to knock the head off of a shopper, or let's commit seppuku against our competitors. Something like that will get the right movers and shakers in the audience, get those butts in the seats. How much do you charge speakers? Well, in North Arkansas, which is a hotbed of activity, I would say as much as you can. There are large corporations that have directors of sales or vice presidents of sales that have nothing else to do with their time other than to speak at conferences and pitch their wares. So as much as you can get from them to sponsor the event, and then in turn, that sponsorship allows them to speak at their event and talk about all of their great products. That's the most common way that people do it nowadays. So that's what I'd say to do is, North Arkansas, put the right people together, get as much as you can, gouge the speakers to speak there, have a name steeped in aggressiveness, and just promote it endlessly on social media. And if you want to have a successful conference, then hire Arnold T. Arena to start sharing it out on social media, and people will come. People will come, Danny. The right Twix or the left Twix? Well, I'm familiar with Urban Dictionary, so I'd say I like right. Should you be worried About me, my love? Of course not. I'm totally fine. Okay? Dave, the best way to engage an internet troll in a meaningful conversation is to ask personal questions about them. So I'd recommend would you rather questions. I'd recommend I've never have I ever questions. And those type of drinking games go a long way towards opening them up, getting together with them, becoming friends, confidants even. Make them realize the error of their ways. You will spend weekends together and you will frolic in the park and you will go see movies. And when they least expect it, you will stab them many times right in the back until they're dead for their insolence years prior. Laura, yes, your friends' kids likely are assholes. And if kids are acting like assholes, you call them assholes to their face. You whisper it in their ears while they're sleeping. They'll start realizing that. If you speak only nice words to them, God forbid, it's like the book The Secret. They actually become nice. And we don't want to raise a bunch of wussies. So, yeah, treat them tough. Call them assholes if they are. And they'll shape up. Andrew, without a question, yes, of course. What else are you going to do? Actually run a company? I mean, a social media company? No less. Ridiculous. I mean, some could say you're actually doing R&D right now. So what color is your blood? All right. I don't even know what color creatine is. So I'm going to go with chartreuse, just a slightly darker shade of red, like a magenta, if you will, reddish purple. My color is chocolate milk. What is the best template to get somebody to respond? Here are several answers. Number one, no template at all. The consumers nowadays are extremely caring, so when they don't hear back from you regularly, they'll say, I'm worried about them. I might want to connect with them to make sure they're okay. Another one is just asking really innocuous questions like, is this the best email address for you, or is this the best phone number for you? Asking those basic questions, especially right after they submitted that information to you, makes them rethink everything they've done with their life. And that will get you a response back of a yes, which doesn't do you any favors. Also asking questions like, are you still in the market? Are you still looking? Are you still considering? Have you bought yet? Asking those questions will usually yield you a very simple no, which immediately means you can no longer follow up with them again. So those are smart questions to ask. And lastly, consider making yourself look like an asshole. Just saying, hey, start templates off with, did I do something to offend you? I'm sorry if I've upset you in some way since you haven't responded back to any of my emails. That really makes you look like a shithead and will go a long way to getting customers' replies. I'm going to let you in on a little known secret. The difference between creamy and crunchy peanut butter is that the crunchy ones actually just have some of the real peanuts inside of them. I know. I just found it myself. I Googled it. So I prefer natural Jif creamy. I literally live on it. That actually isn't a lie. I have it almost every morning for breakfast. With that said, I would say dry peanuts, but only if they're used and absorbed through the use of a suppository. That's probably the best way to get protein right into your body. Hey, Lori, I don't want you to bang your head against a wall. I want to bang your head against a wall. So you have a digital marketing product that isn't up to snuff. and you want to bring on more clients and you want to charge more for it, I would say get acquired, likely by one of the big guys, a CDK Global or somebody, and they will find a way to put it into more stores to charge more, hopefully make it better, but that's secondary to the rest. So just try to get acquired. It's pretty common. So Martez, no, absolutely do not get hair plugs. Hey, bald is beautiful, especially on a black man. So think of it, Michael Jordan, Tay Diggs, Tyson Beckford. Even if being bald, you look more like Rock. And I don't mean The Rock, I mean Rock, like Charles Dutton from Rudy in the show Rock. But either way, I would not get hair plugs. For you, probably butt plugs. How do you choose the right logo or headshot? Great question, Eric. What I recommend doing is posting on social media and asking every single person in your social media sphere what their favorites are, because the people that you work with at automotive dealerships are known for having the keenest eye for design. Also, make sure that you include a multitude of different options for them to consider, because then it proves that you are not only unable to make decisions for your clients, but you can't even make a decision for yourself. Aaron, you are married. That is not for me to answer. Your husband determines what you are and are not allowed to do. I don't care if it is free or if it is $40,000. A river cruise through Vietnam is not safe for somebody. You need to have your protector, your husband, by your side. And if he does not want you to go, you do not go. When men put their foot down, women must listen. So, looks like you're staying at home, sister.
Hey, Joe, I've got to give the pregame speech tonight in the women's locker room for the University of Louisville women's basketball team when they face North Carolina State. I need to know, I'm not a motivational speaker, I need to know exactly what needs to be said and how to say it to ensure a team victory.
Hey, Scott, what a tremendous honor to be asked to speak at the Louisville women's basketball game. So, as a motivational speaker, the first thing you want to do is to start off with a story. So tell them something personal. The first time you held a basketball, how you felt. The first time you made a layup in a big game. Or, considering you're speaking to women, how you too have never slam dunked a basketball. Then you're going to want to try to relate to them. So remind them that you too were once a college girl. Then you're going to want to make them feel good about themselves. So talk about how nice it smells in the women's locker room compared to the men's locker room, and then go around and ask to smell all of their hair. Talk about how nice they smell and their hair products smell. That's nice. Last thing you want to do is to make sure, instead of motivating them to victory, be supportive. Let them know that if they do lose, you will make sure to rush back in their locker room and give each and every one of them a very calming back rub. If you do that, I guarantee you they will hustle and find themselves a way to win that game. Bill, I know you are a staunch Republican, so MAGA hats are probably, in and around your closet. With that said, as a staunch Republican, more than likely you go to a lot of rallies. And those rallies in middle of Michigan likely include a lot of all-white outfits. And a MAGA hat might not fit in with the hat that you're usually required to wear at those Republican rallies. So I might suggest not wearing a MAGA hat in those instances. The most effective MySpace strategy. Now that's a heavy hitting question. So 3 things. Number 1, be sure that you're a band. You have to have a band if you're going to be on MySpace. So make sure it's a band. Second, make sure that you choose a song that plays when somebody comes to your page that isn't going to put anybody off, but is sort of eclectic, but approachable by everybody. And third is have a MySpace page. I mean, I'd say that's probably a top 2 level of importance. PBR. Peanut butter on rye. One of my favorite breakfasts. I eat it all the time while I'm out golfing with my good friend CJ Romig as we take pictures of the cigars we're smoking and drink bottles of Coors Light together. No, anytime anybody disagrees with you in this world, it's best to just immediately stop listening to them forever. Make your own decisions. Don't listen to facts or anybody else. I got that little tip, courtesy Fox News. Hey, Bobby. So you're in an unfortunate circumstances. I've been there 2-3 dozen times. There are cheaper ways to do it. I don't know if you know this, but they say the most resilient, resourceful people are teenage girls. They can live through serious accidents, car accidents, plane crashes even. And judging from your profile pictures, my guess is it's a teenage girl. So what I first recommend is take her someplace that has a really long flight of steps. Position her at the steps, and then you'll want to jump or don't. Well, Dave, it fully depends on the context. It's well known that the band House of Pain said jump around. David Lee Roth said jump, and Criss Cross had jump, jump. Most of House of Pain aren't even working right now. David Lee Roth, as far as I know, works at a truck stop. One of the kids from Criss Cross is dead. So if you're following that logic, I would say don't jump. If you're talking about offing yourself, do it. So Christina, if that is your real name, I would first need to understand why most men are intimidated by you. It's probably the clothes you wear or the way you wear your hair. Those are the 2 things that most men, you'll never hear this from most guys, but first thing we look at is eyes, then hair, then apparel or outfit, up and down. And then we say, okay, well, she has fashion. Maybe that's too much for me. And we back off very slowly. You just back away right out of the room. But beyond that, I would say if you're having problems dating men because they find you too intimidating, just date women. I'm the best person to provide dating advice because last time I went on a date was about 20 years ago, since I've been with my wife for about that long. Here's what you need to do. Talk down to them. Women need to get knocked off their pedestals. They will try to put themselves in a better situation to make them feel like they are worthy of you. That's step 1. Women love assholes. And it's worked well for me. So first things first, do that. Second of all, split the check. Always make a split the check. Let them know where they stand. And thirdly, just never call. Never talk to them. Don't show emotion. Be very cold, calculated, and they seem to get off on that stuff. Hey, Michael, I think that given your current line of work, opening a flower store would be very good for your soul. I think with your last name of Fields, you definitely want to have a pun related in there, like Fields Flowers, or look at Mike's happy trail of flowers. Little things like that can go a long way towards drumming up some business. All of your flowers, from what I hear, are very short-stemmed, but nonetheless, I think it'd be really good for you, and will let your inner beauty bloom. Gilbert, you know I know this about you, that when you're gassy, you need to jump out of a moving car, run into somebody's yard, and steal a husk of corn right off their farm, just for the sake of having it, for no reason. Whether you're in Bloomington or Sioux Falls or some other place, corn, uncooked husks of corn go a long way toward ending gassiness. Meg, you left the automotive industry and you want to come back. So to do that, you're going to need to train like you're going on the show Survivor. You're going to need to condition your body to know what it's like to go without eating, to go without sleeping. You're going to need to remember how to jump through hoops, both for managers and customers alike. And besides that point, which I don't recommend when going on Survivor, come up with a really good drug addiction. You know, something that is going to always motivate you to need money for the next fix. It works for a lot of top selling salespeople I know. Christy, if you don't post regularly about how great your company is doing on social media, how will anybody know? Sorry. Listen, you've got to at least tell people about the glut of clients you're taking on, how you're no longer taking business. You've got to do this. Otherwise, God forbid somebody wants to work with you and reaches out. And you just, we've got to turn people away at the door on status update pages. So post to your heart's content. And by the way, if you don't use a hashtag about how hashtag blessed you are, they're really never going to believe you. Hey, Daniel, the reason that NASCAR drivers drive in that direction around the track has nothing to do with the rules, nor does it mean they fear change. It's more political in orientation. The typical NASCAR driver is just used to leaning so far right, it comes naturally for them to always be taking left turns. So your lawn needs constant maintenance. You don't want to have to deal with the upkeep, and you don't want to have to pay a landscaper. Common question. First of all, cutting grass and trimming trees is literally the primary reason people have children. It was the reason that they started having them back in the 1300s. That's when kids were invented. So I would say make and force your children to do it. If not, force neighborhood kids to do it. And if that doesn't work, then find yourself a really unattractive, frail redneck of a man who knows nothing else other than treating his lawn and caring for his property. And if you get him wrapped around your finger, he'll do everything you want. But again, it's got to be a redneck. So when I suggested rednecks, I didn't say that as a negative. I said that as a positive. They have tremendous work ethics, and they typically were raised growing up with large properties of land in which the family themselves handled and took care of. Those who grew up in suburbs had very small lawns to care for, and those who grew up in inner cities only had sidewalks. So they weren't used to taking care of the land. I wasn't suggesting sexual favors. What I'm suggesting is love. When you can convince somebody to fall in love with you, even for the wrong purposes, albeit cutting your grass and trimming your bushes, that is still not through sexual favors. That is through love and respect, that they cherish you enough to do those things, and they typically will if you are even remotely good in the sack. So you need a headshot for your website. Which Snapchat filter do you go with? I mean, there's so many choices. I would always say, if we're trying to endear ourselves to the customers, go with the puppy dog ears and a tongue. If a woman doesn't have a picture of herself with a puppy dog tongue sticking out, how is a man even going to know that she's promiscuous? Earl, I'm so sorry I missed this question because it was a good one. I don't know how I skipped by and missed it. So, should you be just a projection? Should you be your true self or just a projection? An empty, superficial version of what people want you to be? And the truth is, the only reason to be on social media is if you're doing the latter, apparently. Brent, legitimate question. Somebody turns their lanyard around at a booth because they don't want you to know who they are. What different types of tactics can we do? There's always the bump, shove, and turn. That's very popular, where you throw an arm into them. As they go to say, excuse me, you flip it around real quick. You could ask them, but that's insane. I think the best way to do would be to dose them, like offer them. I mean, the next step is always offering drinks to the people that attend the booth. So offer them a drink, but dose them, something light, like, so not maybe a methamphetamine, but, something light that'll get them to fall asleep within the next 30 to 45 seconds. Or really loopy, like make them sniff some amyl nitrate or something. Whatever it is, as soon as they're out of sorts, turn it around, get a glance, turn it back, act like nothing's happened, so long as you've had time to rifle through their valuables in their purse or wallet. And then, yes, go for them to sign on the dotted line. So, Martez, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? The truth is, that's not all the variables you need. You need to know a time frame for you to be able to measure it, because otherwise they probably could do it their entire lives, and there's no way to calculate that. With that said, we're asking almost, for some reason, that is like a hypothetical tongue twister. Are you suggesting that we name something a woodchuck that, shut up, kids! Sorry about the park. Did we name something woodchuck that doesn't have the ability to chuck wood? Shut up! Ashley, sorry to hear that you're in a long-distance relationship. At least you know that somebody is capable of being with you by not being nearby. Very often, men will do whatever their mothers say. So if you can get in on the good side of his mom, try to get her to move down there near you in Mobile first, and he will follow suit. If that doesn't work, then you may want to consider kidnapping. It's not considered wrong anymore to do that. So maybe drive up there in the darkness of night, kick open his door, duct tape him, carry him out, throw him in your trunk. I mean, you're a strong girl. So I imagine he could probably be lifted, hoisted down a flight of steps or so. More than likely, if he's dating you, he's in an apartment. And put him in the back of your truck, bring him in, and over the years, as you keep him in your basement, as you feed him, he will come to rely on you, grow to love you for the first time ever, and he will be happily embedded in Mobile. Why am I so cool? Well, that is a great question. I mean, there's so many reasons. Most specifically, my fashion sense. I am known for only wearing hypercolor shirts and jelly bracelets, Swatch watches, and Z Cavaricci jeans. And those things go a long way towards being the coolest, hippest cat in all of middle school. I haven't watched a television commercial beyond the Super Bowl since the TiVo was invented. So, no, it's not one of those Inuit commercials, whatever you were speaking of. Laurie, internet, or the interwebs as you call it, is not a fad. It's a trend, and it will continue going on. Now, while I do predict Bing to very soon overtake both Yahoo and Google, and I do predict Friendster to make a roaring comeback and overtake Facebook, As long as there is air in my lungs, this internet whole trend is going to... Sean, great question. What do we do if another karaoke party pops up during a conference around the same time as one of our Joe, Arnold, and Sean karaoke-thons? I'd say we'd have to pack it up. I mean, I know that others have tried, and I know that they've all failed miserably, and they've had poor turnouts, and mostly it's because you and I and Arnold were not putting out nothing but positive vibes and good energy. But if it still happened again and somebody tried it, I guess we'd have to just give up on the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, we can always know that people always remember their first. And we were their first. But if somebody else does it, I say we just give up, quit. No more singing for us. Adrienne, I hope you aren't talking about me because I haven't hoed around in weeks. So if there is a hoe bothering your friends, whether it be male friends or female friends, the best thing you can do is to speak nicely to them. Be kind. Kill them with kindness. I would specifically recommend asking nicely, gentle suggestions, baking them a cake and inviting them out for coffee or tea or lunch, your treat. Ask them to politely step away from your other friends. And if they continue, then you will just be more firmly worded, say some stern phrases to them. And if all else fails, just hire to have them killed. Scott, if you want to consider your reign of winning fantasy football leagues, one in every 10 or 12 you enter, like you've been doing for the last decade or more, I would say the upcoming fantasy football year, my recommendation to you would be to draft, at least in the first 3 or 4 rounds, Cody Parkey. He's going to make a big turnaround. Hello, Beth. What color should you make your bathroom floor? Easy. As you and I know, I have 2 sons. You have 3 sons. So the smartest choice is to color that bathroom floor the same shade of urine that most boys find a way to cover that floor with. So, save yourself so much extra work if you just make it urine colored. It's going to turn that way eventually anyway. You can see how my hair gets crazier as the day progresses. I was asked this exact same question, Eliana. Would I rather fight 1 duck-sized horse or 10 horse-sized ducks? Something like that. One way or the other, I'd rather fight 10 of the smaller ones just because if you can kick them. And more than likely, like 10 small horses, the moment they break a bone, you got to put them down anyway. Legally, it's science. So no, I'd fight the smaller one. It always makes you feel good naturally to pick on or abuse the smaller of the creatures anyway. Dara, widely known fact, I've actually never drank coffee in my entire life. Truthfully. With that said, I have heard that coffee has a lot of antioxidants and really beneficial vitamins and minerals inside of it. So much like Red Bull or heroin, you can ingest as much as you want and it will not get you sick. It'll only make you healthy. So the more the merrier, girl. You want to break into comedy, but you're not very funny. What do you do? First and foremost, I would suggest throwing up a meme on your page and then just winging it by shooting videos all day, playing it by ear. That has seemed to work for me today. Beyond that, study it. watch a lot, and I mean a lot, of Dorf on Golf videos. That is just about as funny as it comes. So Dorf on Golf videos, posting a meme, and then shooting videos all day, that's literally my entire repertoire. So unfortunately, that's the only advice I can give you. Okay, so here it is. After having taken a long drive with my good friend John Sherrill through the Pacific Northwest several years ago, and seeing the sheer expanse of wilderness, I feel there is no way that someone can unequivocally say with 100% certainty that every single creature that wants to stay hidden in that wilderness has been found and documented. So yes, is there a 0.1% chance that Bigfoot is real and exists? Yes. Yes, it is. So my advice to John is quit what you're doing. Leave auto alert. Pack up, sell everything you own, get the family, buy some tents, pack rations, go up and travel, hike through the Pacific Northwest for months, years, until you are able to see and confirm the existence of Bigfoot, because she's out there. The best motivational image. Well, for you, Will, that would be either you in a hat or you at the gym. For most other people, the best motivational image would be, to build a personal brand, would be a very wordy, loquacious quote that they themselves have made up for the purpose of a motivational quote meme, and use multiple fonts to share those words on a meme. And then even though you're posting it, you make sure that you give yourself credit for that quote on the actual image. And that really goes a long way towards building brands.